our audition is for this school that you've probably heard of before for music and for performing arts, and it's definitely not called the Juilliard School. Yeah. And I can't even believe it. I can't believe that I am sitting here saying on Friday I have my audition at Juilliard. And I thought to kind of start out my vlog for this trip, I would go into a little bit of a pre-context as to why Friday is the most important day of my life. It'll probably be the best day of my life, and it'll probably be, it's hands down the only important thing I've done with my life thus far. So I feel like people always ask me as a singer, when did you start singing? And I feel like that's always been a complicated question for me, because the bigger question for me is, when were you not singing? Because I don't remember a point in my life where I wasn't singing, or that wasn't something that I was very hyperfixated on as a child. So yeah, that's kind of how I started singing. I kind of was, which is a very unique situation to be in, especially when your parents and your siblings are very much into sports and things. And yeah, they played instruments in school and stuff, and there were some singers in my family, but there's never been a career musician in my family from my awareness. So that kind of makes me a low-key trailblazer. And my parents, found that this is very unique. They found this situation to be very unique. And I didn't know it at the time, and I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but I do have perfect pitch. And I think that, I didn't fully realize that, and I wasn't fully able to use that until I started learning piano. And once I was actually learning to read music, then I really had an awareness of, these are the notes that I'm hearing in a very, very literal sense in my brain. My brain is kind of telling me what notes I'm hearing while I'm listening to things. And I think that probably had something to do with it. That probably had something to do with the way that I was singing these things. It was all different Disney songs, Taylor Swift, Hannah Montana, the things that children sing. But I think what my parents were very taken aback by was that it was, like I said, it was good singing for I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years old. And then this kind of turned into me doing talent shows at school and things like that. And, that was, again, for, 8, 9, 10 years old, that was some really good singing. I wouldn't want to sing like that now, but yeah. And then when I was 9, I started taking voice lessons. That's when we were like, okay, so this is serious, and I'm going to start taking voice lessons. And yeah, they were about 30 minutes away. I drove to this town in Southington, Connecticut. And yeah, I worked with this older woman, and she was really amazing. She gave me all of these foundational skills, and things kind of just went on from there. Various teachers, various things that I was doing, all kinds of singing things. I started out as a theater kid. That's very important to me. I started out doing musicals, and that's how I really got into it, because I don't know, just everyone that I knew that liked to sing was doing musicals. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do musicals. And then when I was 10 years old, and I was in a community choir at the Hart Conservatory, and they asked a group of kids in the choir to participate in the children's ensemble of this opera production in Connecticut. It was done by a company, I believe it was called Opera Connecticut, and they were doing Puccini's La Boheme, and I was in the children's chorus of this opera, La Boheme. And I'm going to be really frank with you, I had never heard an opera before. I'd never been a part of anything like that. I'd never seen it. And I guess the idea that I had of it, if any idea that I had, was, I guess, the mainstream version of it. But I'd never seen it before. I'd never really interacted with opera before. So I really didn't know anything about it. And I didn't even go into it with any sort of judgmental mindset, as I feel like a lot of people go into classical music with a very judgmental mindset and say oh, it's boring. Oh, it's not interesting, whatever. But that was not, I went into it with a very open mind, and that was really something that, I really believe that if I didn't do that, I'm not sure if this is where I would be today. It was that important for me. And yeah, I remember distinctly we had the first dress rehearsal with actual opera singers that were in the production. And obviously I know a lot more about the score and the characters and things like that. And I knew that there was a Rodolfo and that there was Musetta and that there was Marcello and there was Mimi. And I knew the characters and I knew like basic plot, starving artists, etc. People are dying. But I was able to watch a part of the rehearsal where this character, this soprano Musetta, sings an aria called Quando me invo. I didn't know if that's what it was called at the time, but the more that I've familiarized myself with everything and familiarized myself with different scores and all that, I do actually know the names of arias now. And at 10 years old, I definitely didn't know that, which, like I said, it was my first time being exposed to this. I didn't know anything. And I believe, Quando me invo has a very special part of my heart because watching that singer sing that in these rehearsals, in this one specific rehearsal, I remember, that was the moment that I fell in love with opera. And I saw this person singing that, and there was some part of my brain that was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. And I continued on with the musical theater track, and I still love musical theater. And I do love singing it and everything. But while I was doing all these things, I kind of just had it tucked in the back of my brain, like, oh yeah, that was when I got to see like a real opera, and I got to see someone sing this aria, and I thought, I want to be her. So by the time I got into high school, that's when I really started taking things seriously. I got really into classical voice and competitions and things like that, learning art songs, and the book 24 Italian Art Songs and Arias. That's a very it's a canon event for a lot of singers in general. Like, you don't necessarily have to be just focused on classical repertoire to be aware of that, because there's a lot of choirs and stuff that use it for the audition rep. So it's a canon event for people that like to sing. Really. And I was actually started working on that book in middle school. But I started going beyond that book when I got into high school. And that's also when I started doing arias, and I started to have a better understanding of what opera was and what classical singing was and what that meant for me. And the summer going to my sophomore year, I went to the Eastman School of Music for a summer voice program, as I mentioned in my Rochester vlog. And that was really great. It was great to be around people that were actually like me, because I don't go to school with anyone that is really like me. I don't spend my average day with people that really, are so passionate about singing. So that was really nice. And then I didn't fully understand my place until I was at the Boston University Tanglewood Institute, because part of the program is that you get to go to concerts every night at Tanglewood. And when I really got to see one of the top classical music venues in the country, and have get the experience of seeing all these renowned classical musicians, while also getting all these amazing lessons and doing all this amazing work and learning new materials and singing and performing and all of that, that was when I was like, okay, this is a serious thing. Because like I told you, I didn't know anyone in classical music growing up. This is not a world that I was born into. I had to learn about it in order to get into it. And this was when I really was like, okay, so there are people that are doing this, and like this is their job every single day. I didn't fully understand that when I was younger, because that's just not, I didn't know a lot of people who really were, the connoisseurs. This was the first time that I realized, like, oh, I'm a part of something that's very important here. And what I'm doing is very important, because a lot of people, like I said, think, classical music is old and it's boring and it's not important. That's not true. So here we are. And then the summer after that, I went to the Oberlin Baroque Performance Institute, and, I've learned that I love Baroque music. I think it has been my favorite for a while. Of all the classical time periods, you have Renaissance, then you have Baroque, and then you have Romantic period, and then, actually no, before Romantic period, you have Classical period, duh, and then you have Romantic period, and then you have 20th century, and then you have Modern. And Baroque, early music, things like that. That was my favorite. And that's from a time period of like 1600 to 1750. But I'm really falling in love with a classical subgenre right now called bel canto. And that's very florid and very ornamented in a different way. And just absolutely virtuosic to sing. So I've fallen in love with that. Bellini, Rossini, all of those people. And here I am today, actually. And, this fall I was like, okay, I've wanted to go to music school my whole life. And how this started was, I think I was about 8 years old. Yeah, I was 8 years old. And I said to my mom, I want to sing. And I was kind of like asking, how do I do that? And my mom was like, well, there's, you like go to music school. And I was like, okay, I want to go to music school. And I can't remember the distinct wording of the conversation. I just remember that this happened. And I was like, okay, well, where do people go? She's like, well, there's Juilliard. And I was like, okay, where's like the best place to go? And she said, well, I think, Juilliard's like the best place to go for music. And like I said, my parents weren't in music or anything, so this was all very new for them as well. And they were just kind of giving me their perspective as people who were not in the field. And my mom was like, yeah, people that are really amazing at singing and really amazing at music and are really amazing musicians all around, or really amazing artists as actors and dancers, etc., they go to Juilliard. And I was like, okay, that's where I'm going. Mind you, I was 8 years old and was not aware that the acceptance rate is about 9%. So I could give myself a little bit of grace there for not being aware of that. But here we are, 10 years later, in the fall of my senior year, and obviously I have the same plan. I want to go to music school. And I applied to 16 music schools, and I applied to, if they had a university affiliated with them, which a lot of the schools do, I applied to the university affiliated with them, and I also applied for their creative writing program at those schools, just in case I wanted to be spontaneous and do a double major. And for that, for the music applications, I had to submit various videos of myself talking about myself and my music career, and I, most importantly, had to submit videos of me singing repertoire. And generally the requirements are a song in English, a song in Italian, and a song in either French or German, or some other language. It can be Spanish, it can be Russian, it can be Czech, For some people, some schools are more flexible. And that's part of how I was recording O mio bambino caro, because that was part of my pre-screening rep. And I ended up performing and recording a bunch of other things. I did Roger Quilter's Love's Philosophy. I did Après un rêve by Gabrielle Fauré. And I recorded O del mio dolce ardor by Gluck. And I recorded Du bist wie eine Blume by Robert Schumann. And after that preliminary round, you are invited to audition at the school. And I got invitations for 12 schools, I believe, of the 16 I applied to. And that was ranging from Texas to California to Ohio to all parts of New York. If you've seen the vlogs, you know what I'm saying. It's been some crazy traveling, and some of them I had to submit virtually because there was so much traveling involved. And here I am after about 6 weeks. Actually, it's been more than 6 weeks, right? Yeah, it's been about 2 months, actually, because I started mid-January, early to mid-January at the University of Connecticut, and then it's been pretty much every weekend since then I've had somewhere to go. So yeah, now here we are about 2 months later, and I was invited to audition at the school that I've wanted to go to for most of my life at this point. So it's very crazy for me to say, my Juilliard audition is on Friday. And it's just so unbelievable. And on Friday, there's also a callback round, and I am praying for a callback. And I'm really hoping that all of this goes the absolute best that it can. And I have the confidence that, with the work that I've put in, I've been doing a lot of work and having multiple lessons a week for so many months. I believe that the work that I've done is there. So, yeah, I'm excited actually. So we're here, and we're in the hotel, and this is my Met Opera merch. Yay! And I'm right across the street from my dream music school. So this is crazy, guys. This is absolutely crazy, and I'm just so proud of myself that I've been able to get here, and I'm so grateful for everyone that's either supported me or directly helped me along the way. And yeah, it was about a 2-hour car ride. I left straight from school. I just started listening to Iron Flame, the sequel to Fourth Wing, on audiobook. And I've been reading the 4th Percy Jackson book because I've been reading the book series in order to watch the actual streaming series on Disney+. And I'm also reading 5 Feet Apart, which there's also a movie. And I'm liking the book so far. It's very good. But I want to talk about this view, guys. Just look at that. It's New York City, and it's raining, and it's a Thursday night. I love it here. So I can't believe I'm here, and it's gonna be a crazy day tomorrow, and this is already so crazy, and yeah, I'm so grateful for my life right now. And I think that if I were to tell my younger self where I would be right now, she just wouldn't be able to believe it. And I've been working so hard up to this point, and I can't believe it's here. I cannot believe that this is where I'm standing right now, but I have to, be confident in that, and be confident that yes, I'm ready to do this, and I should stop shaking the camera so much. But I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So I'm gonna go back into my typical vlogging here. Yeah. My current hyperfixation of the week, or of this vlog, is that I finally got to see the Wuthering Heights movie. Bless. And I'm a big book fan, and when I say I'm a big book fan, it's my favorite book ever, Wuthering Heights. And I love that book. I love it. And although it was not completely accurate to the book, I respect the artistry with which the movie was made, and I think that it was very artistic. The movie itself was very artistic, and it was a work of art, really. And I thought the acting performances were amazing, and the Charlie XCX album is fire, and I've already said that, but it's fire. And that's my help I'm still at the restaurant of the week, I guess. When I was in Baltimore 2-3 weeks ago, it was Bad Bunny. And last week it was, or whenever I was in Rochester, yeah, it was Wuthering Heights, the book, and that was my Roman Empire. But I Help I'm Still at the Restaurant is the movie. It was so sad and it was so beautiful and it was so good, guys. Like, and I know that Wuthering Heights is, you know, far beyond just a romance. As a reader, I know that. And I thought that it was really well handled. It's like the grandness of it beyond just being about a romance. I thought that there were really good external themes from that, and I thought that was really powerful, actually. And the opening scene was incredibly brilliant, and the acting performances were brilliant, and the ending the ending broke my soul, guys. Like, the ending broke my soul. But yeah, here I am, and you know, I'm here auditioning for one of the top music schools or performing arts schools in the world for, you know, vocal performance, for something I've wanted to do my whole life and excel at the highest level in my whole life. And this is the highest level, and this is where I've wanted to be for about 10 years, like I said yesterday. So this is unreal. And, you know, for the people that are saying that, you know, opera is a dying art form that everyone feels pressure to keep alive, and, you know, no disrespect to opera people, I mean, I'm here doing this, so obviously it's, you know, there's no pressure to keep it alive, because I'm keeping it alive, and my peers are keeping it alive, and the next generations are going to keep it alive. And, you know, this is very much so an existing art form. It's just, you know, it's one of the highest arts of humanity. And if you don't go out of your way to seek knowledge about it, or you don't go out of your way to experience it, then you're not going to, and you're not going to know about it. So that's a choice. And, you know, all art forms are amazing and special in their own way. So I think dissing on one over the other is kind of crazy. But yeah, here we are. I love New York City almost as much as I love Juilliard. And I'm just hoping for the best, because I want that, and I've wanted that for a long time, and I wanted that more than anything in my life for a very long time. So I hope that that's what happens for me. And I'm just very excited I've done all the work at this point, so I'm excited to just go in and show everyone what I've been working on. Yeah. Just hanging out at Juilliard, as one does. pace, o vita mia, in contenti ed allegria, if thou kiss not me. Come up, Petrarch, apparese l'ora, cantare argoma nostra, soleva su